Hi everyone, it's Jeremy here, or Chef Remy as some of you may know me. I'm going to read a random Bible verse to you all because I think it's important to apply the ideas from here to your own life, and because you will notice lots of change and you will notice things that maybe you just didn't before. You'll look at life in a different way. So let's find one real quick. All right, so we're in Psalm 35 or 34, excuse me, verse 17 through 18. And it reads, "When the righteous cry out, the Lord listens. He delivers them from all of their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those whose spirits are crushed." So what does that mean? That means no matter where you are in life, if you're at your lowest point, I'm not at my lowest point, but it's been pretty sad lately. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like we all need that source of encouragement, and you all should get a Bible because, like, you can annotate it, you can make little notes. You don't even have to get this type of Bible. They have comics, like a comic version of the Bible. They have just a smaller version. You can just get the New Testament. You can do whatever you want to do, but I recommend getting one. Because when, like, as 34:17 through 18 said, when the righteous cry out, the Lord listens to you. You think that you're all alone, or you think that no one else is having the same problem as you, but there is somebody else having the same issues as you. And that's why God made us the way that we are, so we can relate to one another and we can help each other find him through stuff like this. So don't feel alone. I feel like that's what the devil wants us to do. He thinks that, you know, he hates us. He hates us so much more than you could you think someone in your life hates you. This just beyond comprehension, okay? On the other hand, God uncomprehensibly loves you. He loves you beyond comprehension inversely. So do not get discouraged at all. I recommend that you give God a try today and you can even download the Bible app on your phone if you like, or just different creators on TikTok, or some of you may already go to church. And if you already do, I recommend you, join like a youth group or something, or like some Bible study group, because that way, God wants us to be together. He wants us to be, because when you're together, you learn more together, because we're human, right? So don't do everything by yourself. I recommend joining things with people and just give it a try, because you never know what's going to happen. So thank you, and let's get started with our matcha macarons. Hi everybody, I'm Jeremy. Some of you know me as Chef Remy, and today we're gonna make matcha macarons. Now I've tried this 2 times already and it's failed, and the reason why I say it was failed is that the cookies were fine, like when I piped them and stuff, but when they rose in the oven, I noticed that the tops kept cracking. And the last time that happened is when I was developing my chocolate macaron recipe and tried to use Dutch processed cocoa powder. So for those of you that don't know, Dutch processed cocoa powder is just cocoa powder that's been alkalized. So that means that the pH is higher than normal cocoa powder, and it can take away some of the bitterness. So what happens in macarons, if you use something alkaline, an alkaline ingredient, or something with a higher pH than normal, it can actually alter the way your cookies turn out. So matcha powder is kind of indifferent to that because its pH is 9. And for those of you that know, that's above neutral. And usually with a macaron batter, you add cream of tartar because it's acidic and it stabilizes the egg proteins. So if we have cream of tartar and something alkaline, that means the pH is going to go up inevitably. So I think what I'm going to do this time is compensate by adding more of cream of tartar to bring that pH back down a little bit. So the brand of matcha I'm using is Matcha Love, and I like it because it just comes in these little packets. It's 2-gram packets, and it'll come with about, 15 packets. So I like this brand. It seems pretty cool. And yeah, we will whip these egg whites with extra cream of tartar just to make sure that the feet rise up like normal, and we'll see if we have a normal cookie. So this time I'm gonna add a little bit more cream of tartar to the actual egg whites. It's definitely more than usual, but I really want to stabilize them since we're adding matcha powder. So I'm just gonna start by breaking them up a little bit. And we have our copper bowl again. You also want to use room temperature, at least, egg whites. It just makes it easier on you. They won't be as thick and viscous, and you can really cut air into them pretty well. All right, so that looks pretty frothy to me. So now we're gonna add our sugar a little bit at a time. It's fine to add it all at once, but if you do that, it's gonna be pretty thick, and it might actually end up taking longer because it's harder to whip something that's thicker, because it just makes like a syrup basically, so it's gonna take a bit longer, but it'll still work just fine. All right, a little bit more sugar, a bit more sugar. That's all our sugar. Here's where we're at now. Still pretty soupy. Just keep going. I am noticing that this is going a lot quicker than normal. And I want to say it's because of that extra cream of tartar. It's my little hypothesis. All right, so we're still pretty soupy, but we're getting there. It almost looks like marshmallow fluff. That's what I like about meringues and stuff like that. All right, that's really, really close. All we want is for it to not kind of move out of the bowl if you flip it upside down or turn it a certain way. A little bit more. All right, it looks like we're done. So how do you know you're done? Well, it doesn't have to completely hold its shape. We are doing it by hand after all. And getting to completely stiff picks is gonna be a workout, so this actually should be fine because when I just flip it over, it's not going to come out. That's how you know it's thick enough, and there's plenty of air in there to raise our macarons. So that's it. Let's move on to the macaronage. And just as an insurance policy, I'm gonna add more cream of tartar to the actual dry ingredients as well. Just give that a little mix. And I believe that this should keep the pH in check. It should be fine this time. I guess we'll find out, right? And I'm gonna add our matcha powder. This should also give it a nice, natural, kind of probably a lime green hue. Not as dark as my shirt, but if you add enough, it could get that dark, but not today. So that looks nice and St. Patrick's Day-y. Now we're going to add our meringue like usual. Just do like normal and add a little bit at a time. Another thing I learned is that if the batter is too alkaline, the proteins in the egg whites that allow it to whip like this and trap air, they actually have trouble bonding to one another. So basically, if you have this issue in anything that has a skin, like brownies, for example, or obviously macarons, the skin just won't be able to form because you need acid to allow those proteins to bond. And in the case of macarons, I can show you all the video of what happened to mine. Even though you let them dry all the way, the shells, they still find that weak spot in the top because it's already weak. It's weakened from the alkalinity because those proteins aren't linked up properly. And they can't bond before the pressure from the inside of the macaron has time to find it, the weak spot, and crack it. Because, I mean, it's much easier for it to go straight up instead of up and around the sides, right? So it'll find the weak spot. Because steam is a powerful thing. Very, very powerful thing. Think of like a steam train or something like that. That's a lot of energy and power. So that steam, it will break through. I mean, have you ever been like boiling a pot of water and let's say you have the lid on for some reason, it'll come off, or at least try to come off because of all that pressure. So we're doing everything like normal, and we're gonna see if that pH, we'll find out when we bake them. Are the feet gonna have structure? Will they rise up straight instead of through the top? I don't know, I just wanna see. We will find out surely. So macarons. Also want you to keep in mind, like last time, I tried this 2 times already, and the batter wasn't overmixed because the shells, they'll crack as well if you have an overmixed batter, but that didn't happen this time, I assure you. So I said, well, maybe it has something to do with the pH. Because like I said earlier, I mentioned that Dutch processed cocoa. You should opt for natural cocoa, just so you keep that acidity. And it'll still taste good too. It's just Dutch process can be, since some of that bitterness is gone, it can make products seem more fudgy and stuff like that. But these are macarons, it's not brownies, right? So don't feel the need to add Dutch processed. And you can always put a nice chocolate filling in the center to make up for that and just leave the shells nice and macaron-like. Gonna keep mixing and mixing, just like those chocolate ones, just mixing and folding and mixing till it seems like the batter is a nice lava consistency. I can already tell that this is actually a pretty good consistency. I hope it's not too runny actually, but that should be good, if you ask me. Yeah, that's definitely, I'm gonna stop right there, y'all. I don't want to be too runny. Do not want it too runny at all. It's not good either. If it's too runny, then they certainly won't have good feet. I think that's a pretty good green color, if you ask me. I'm happy with that. Waste any batter, get all that out, scrape, scrape, scrape. All right. Now it's time to pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and pipe. Remember, you pipe as straight as possible, so that means 90 degrees or perpendicular, right? And I would say, don't worry about making a perfect circle and then it'll come out perfect. Just do it natural, how you would how you think it's supposed to go, and you'll get the gist of it. Yeah, I don't even have to tap these. I'm just gonna pop some of the bubbles. Baking is a science for sure. I think that's why I like it so much. I mean, this is pretty satisfying in itself. I mean, just popping air bubbles is really satisfying. You don't have to pop every single last one, but if they're slightly overmixed like these, you will get a bunch of air bubbles like this. I should have stopped earlier, but that's okay. I just want to see if they get their skin, and we'll move on from there. I guess you could use this as a natural color in different things, except, it's gonna taste like tea, so just that's the only thing to consider. I think there's other natural food colorings like spinach and stuff like that. But since it is natural, at some point, if your oven temperature is over like 350, I believe, then that's when you notice like stuff is gonna start to fade out a little bit naturally. So you want to keep that in mind too. These bake pretty low, so it's gonna retain that, and they don't bake for too long, so that's always good. I think I'm almost done. You don't want to go crazy because by the time you're done, they're already gonna start drying, and you're gonna start messing them up more than you start helping them. I say just leave them alone. Let them dry. All I want to do is see if the skin forms. They don't have to be perfect. You know, sure they'll still taste good. That tea flavor should really intensify in the oven. So we'll be back in about an hour. All right, so as you can see, it did work this time. The skin, they actually have a skin on the top, and they actually have feet this time. So this batch was slightly overmixed. They would have been taller if they weren't, but they still gonna taste delicious. So I feel like what we learned today is that sometimes things work out for your good just by using your own gifts, right? What you innately know, and applying that to your own life. You think that you might not know certain things, and you actually do, right? But you don't know that until you apply them. And this is a perfect example. Look at how these turn out. A beautiful white chocolate vanilla bean ganache and a blonde chocolate vanilla bean ganache, all surrounding a matcha filling. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you.